Hello everyone, welcome to your own channel VIP IELTS. This is Reza here. We are so happy to be with you. In this session, we're going to cover the most basic but also foundational aspects of the IELTS exam in the reading section, which is skimming, scanning, and how to increase the pace of your reading. I would say how to increase your word per minute. That is a practice for your eyes or something like this. I'm giving you so much explanation in the beginning of the video, which is not good at all. So let's jump right into the different sections that we have in this session. The skimming part, the scanning part, and also the speeding up part. Without further ado, we're going to be talking about skimming. Skimming is very important. It is generally known as, reading something in order to be able to describe it to other people or something like this. But the thing is, in the IELTS exam, you should have your own definition of your own strategy and also the concepts that are told and are used, filed over the internet, and etc. The point is, in some questions in the IELTS exam, you need a general understanding, not so specific, not in too much detail, a shallow understanding of the, I can say, paragraphs. For example, for multiple choices, you need to go through a paragraph very fast and then be able to answer the question. So this is very important to know that skimming is going to provide you some answers. That's the only reason why we are going to learn it. What is skimming? By our definition, skimming is a way of reading some kind of text in order to be able to tell the main story to one of your friends. For example, hey Reza, have you heard about for example, nowadays it is the prisoner who, attacked the court judge? So the point is, right now I'm referring to a story, but I'm just reviewing and remembering the points, the items that were important in that story and very sufficient for the context. So this is very important. You're not going to tell your friend whatever exactly the person said. You're not going to be able to tell about his age, for example. So the point is, you're only going to talk about the main theme, the main happening of the story. This is very important. Take your hearing cover. The other thing is that we have is a scanning. Scanning is telling exactly whether he was 36 years old or whether he was 38 years old. Scanning gives us the capability of measuring precisely what kind of information is accurate and what kind of information is misleading, inaccurate, insufficient for being considered true. So scanning, I can say, is delving deeper into the context. It's sleeping on a paragraph. So the point is, you're going to pay more attention to a paragraph when you're going to scan it for some information. The most important thing in scanning is you're not going to scan just because you want to scan. You're not a scanner, definitely. So you're going to answer some question. And what kind of questions, for example, need scanning in themselves, or scanning is required in your strategy in order to tackle the question and tackle the challenges, difficulties of the question. For example, something like summary completion, some questions like, I can say, true, false, not given. These are the questions that require scanning. I need to say, if you want to find some information about Harry Potter and about the things that have happened to him, as an example, at first you have to understand which part of this large book contains the information that you are looking for. So this is gained when you skim. You read through the whole books and different chapters to understand, is this chapter going to include this information that I'm looking for or not? Is this chapter? No, this is about the current, for example, happenings and happenstances on the path of Harry Potter, on the path of the character, the challenges. So it is not going to talk about the past. The most important thing is, in order to be able to effectively scan, you need to have your text skimmed. Very important, very important, very important. If you want to answer a question that requires scanning, at first you have to skim. At first you have to move your eyes fast through the text to find out which part of the text is at least talking about the thing you're looking for. So right now I'm going to explain skimming, scanning, and their usages in practice. So up to now we know that there are two types of reading the text. First one is a skimming, the second one is a scanning. While we skim, you're not into details, you do not like details, and they are unfavorable to you. But when you're scanning, you're going to find details about something that you're looking for. My question, what are you looking for in the text? You're looking for the answer of a question. So whether to choose skim or scan basically is dictated to you by the question type. Yes, that's simple. So question types decide whether to skim, whether you have to skim or scan. For example, if you have a matching heading and you're scanning a text, you're probably close to getting your answer wrong, because matching heading is going to ask for skimming, not scanning. Then you go into details, you make mistakes. Another case is true, false, not given. This requires scanning. This requires careful reading and looking for precise information, making calculations using your logic. So the point is, you have to choose your action based on the question. Again, the example of the dinosaur or the monster. If you were going to find a monster, you have to find a soft point. The soft point is where you understand how to deal with it, okay? How to tackle the challenges. So let's take a look at a sample passage. This is Australia's sporting success from test. This is passage 1 from test 1 of book 6, IELTS Cambridge 6. The first thing that we do normally, this is a part of a skimming, we can say, the first thing that we do is read the title. This is something that most of the people do, and I believe it is said, needless to say. So Australia is a sporting success. That is something that the text is going to talk about. Let's take a look at the question. So this is matching information. You're going to match the information with some paragraphs. This requires scanning, a deeper level of understanding. So I'm not going to answer that because I haven't been through the text yet. I haven't skimmed the text even once. So I'm going to go for another one. Classify the following. So classification, that is another one, another question that requires scanning. Let's not talk about that first. And the next is what are the things that I remember from the passage. For example, in the beginning it talked about right now I remember the things that I read. For example, some word called mason, and also I think about swimmers. I read that in the passage, so I right now know that Australia, for example, has done lots of things in this field in order to make it itself able. It then here there were some kind of researches in these paragraphs, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, academic science takes center stage. So this is talking about the academic some kind of happenings, and also after that this. It's talking about making, for example, a biomedical profile and making precise measurements. So the point is, I right now have a very abstract understanding of how the passage is shaped. What is the main items that are there in the passage? Not too exactly, I can tell my friend, they made their measurements quite precise. They also introduced some things that swimmers wore, maybe, and also there are a lot of other things, some kind of profile. It helped them to win something or outperform themselves, make themselves better, hone their skills in an Olympic. Right now, I remember the year. I remember it was 1960 something, 1996. Okay, so this is the general idea behind skimming. Scanning is this. Right now, I'm going back, reading it in order to make sure this is the answer. So you will understand right now. Skimming, if this is a map of the IELTS reading, it tells you A is talking about this, B is talking about this, C is talking about this, and D is talking about this. It is going to tell you there is a mountain. It is acting like a map, but very, I can say, not too comprehensive. It is not into so much detail. So it's telling you that there's a mountain here, there's a river here, there's some kind of jungle here, and also there is, you can find the salvation here. So the point is you have to cross this, that in order to find the salvation. If someone asks you about the salvation, you can say, okay, it's at the end of the road. If someone asks you about the mountain, you can say it's here. If I ask you about the researches and academic investigations, you would say, okay, in the first page, in the second or third paragraph, I'm not sure, but I think it is there. So this is a skimming. It has done everything that it could do, and it gave you the understanding, okay, of the passage. Then, what scanning is doing, scanning is going to this mountain, for example, if there is any. I'm not good at painting, and it's telling you which year, who mounted this, ascended this, for example, mountain, who climbed it, who failed, who succeeded. But the map is only going to tell you that this paragraph is about mountain. Go find your the things that you want here. So some questions like matching heading only require you to understand this from the passage. Some other questions not. Okay? A very important note. Based on this definition that we have from scanning and skimming, you should right now know that any scanning without a general understanding or a skimming in the background or before starting scanning is going to fail somehow. So you are going to skim the text at least once. If your test, if the passage has some questions that only require skimming, you're going to do the skimming for them and then use this skimming, the information that you've gained, for the questions that require scanning. Okay, but if there were some questions that did not follow the same pattern, you would have to do this in your process. You would have to do this before going into detail. So Reza, if among the 13 questions that we had in our exam, if there was none that required only skimming, what should we do? Pick the one based on your strategy, pick the one question type that you're gonna answer, then perform skimming, then the scanning. Again, skimming per paragraph or skimming the whole passage based on the question type that you pick. We're going to discuss that. I'm not sure whether you've paid attention to a very important thing here. While we were reading, we highlighted something using pen, using our brain, or anything. For example, when I say academic research, you definitely have highlighted this word in your brain, even though I haven't highlighted it using a highlighter. Okay, so there are some words that are of higher importance because they lead us through this map. They guide us where to find some information. So for example, this A is telling you, hey, I'm going to talk about A all around here. If you want some information about A, come down. If you don't want the information about this, don't even enter this paragraph. I don't have the information that you want. So put it here. It's just like labeling your library. You have some books which are paragraphs here. You say, okay, this paragraph is talking about A, this other paragraph is talking about B, the other one is talking about C. And A says, I'm talking about a river. B says, I'm talking about investigation. And C says, I'm talking about the consequences. So if you're not looking for the consequences, A and B reject you. The keywords in the paragraphs reject you because they tell you that we're not talking about the information you're looking for. You have to move on to another part of the passage. Very important to note that there are some words that are more important than other words. Why? Because they have this sense of division between the first context and the second context. They have and they will give you some kind of information that will be asked by the examiner in the reading section. So the point is, information in your passage is, I can say, structured by some words, and also some words are naturally important. A word, we will have a video, we will have a part on the honey Lexis. I can say the Lexis that are important for the question setters. However, is a very important keyword because it transits meaning, it transits theme in a single paragraph or between paragraphs. Okay, and you have to pay attention to this word whenever you are looking in your passage, because there might be some kind of words around the however that might be taken into question and consideration later on. So there are some questions that my students normally ask. They ask, Reza, should we necessarily do the skimming and scanning? I once had a very young and passionate student who wanted to scan the text from the beginning without any skimming. He said, okay, I will read it thoroughly, I will memorize all of the information because my memory is very good, and then I will go to the questions. At first I don't read the question, or at least I just take a glance at them. After that, I will go to the passage without skimming or something like this. I will read thoroughly. The point is, he got disappointed. I didn't argue with him because if that worked well for him, he would absolutely, because if that worked for him, I really loved him to go for his own strategy. That is very good. Okay, I am very passionate about this because you have to deal with your understanding of yourself. Okay, but the point is, it didn't work out. So, in my point of view, based on my understanding of how our brain works, how the short-term memory works, and etc., I believe it is a good idea to first skim, have a general understanding, then based on the question, you decide which paragraph or which part of the text to focus more and scan. Okay, so another thing that we have, the part that is left from our page, is this. Honey Lexis. Honey Lexis is mostly used, I can say, in cybersecurity, but the point is, I'm gonna use this term in order to refer to the words that are attractive. To whom? To me? To you? No, definitely. To the person who is setting the questions. Some words are more attractive than others. In other words, I would say, if a question setter is not going to make a question out of these pieces of information, there's nothing left to be asked in the passage. So we can be pretty sure that 80% of the time, 70% of the time, these words are going to help us. So the first group of words I would say are numbers and names. Definitely I suggest highlighting and underlining them, but it is not a necessity because they are pretty obvious in a text, because for example, names start with capital letters, or even sometimes they have all of the letters in the names are capital, so they're pretty conspicuous when you look at a passage. And numbers, needless to say, you can find them very easily. However, because I am very curious about, following the same pattern and having your own mindset of what you're doing, I really suggest underline numbers and names. The other words that should be underlined are the connectors. Connectors in text, we will learn in the writing sections that connectors help us make our text more, I can say, readable and understandable for a person. Connectors such as additionally, for example, or for example. Basically, it is anything that pops between two sentences, not necessarily in between. In some styles of writing, you can see them at the end, but again, we're talking about the basics here in the reading section. In the writing, we will cover all of them. For example, let's take a look at the word, for example. It is telling you that this other part is referring to an example of it. I wish we were lucky and we have it here. Look at it. Or again, something such as to explain, to make it clear, to explain, or anything like this. I just wanted to let you know. Look at this. It says an explanation of how something is happening. A reason. Again, another connector that we have is because. Okay, I will provide a list of connectors in the Google Sheet. The link is given in the description of the video, so if you can't have access to it, just let me know about it as soon as I can, I will fix it. So there are some connectors that we need to highlight because they give us an understanding of the passage. Sometimes they're used clearly and they used, visibly, and we can see them. Sometimes this relationship is explained without any use of connectors. But that doesn't matter. I mean, in this question, for example, you might not exactly find because in the passage, and you shouldn't get disappointed. But if in your passage, if you see because, you have to underline it. Why? Because something else is telling you that this passage is about, for example, sea. This part of the passage is about ocean. And the question was the reason of something related to ocean. And here you have the word because. It means maybe you should put your fingers here. We can keep our fingers crossed that we can find the information over there in the passage. There are other words that are important for us. We can say the words that provide contradict. I was talking about the negative aspects of something. Now I'm going to talk about the positive aspects of something. There should be a connector here. Contradiction is provided mostly by using some kind of words, okay? Words such as however, words such as while, whereas, though, even though. So these are the words that provide contradict. They are very important, and we pay a huge attention to them whenever we find them in a text. I can say I'm pretty sure about however. It never failed me, the word however. Whenever I had however in a passage, before or after however, I could find an answer to something. So the point is, however is very important, at least to me. There are lots of other words, but however is very, very common in the IELTS passages. The fourth, and I can say the last important item that we have to pay attention to and also highlight, underline, or whatever means you is a word called ha ha ha. The most important things are keywords. Question is, what are keywords? When we read title, do we jump straight in the passage? Skim, scan, or anything? No. There is something happening here. That is called reading questions. So the keywords that I'm talking about are the ones that are related to some important words in our question. For example, help in the question, as you saw, help, produce, production, anything about that, plan, and performance were the items that helped us find the answer in here while we were reading the passage. Development, production, again, competition, expect, and again, make that time the winning time. It means you design the model to make that time. It means you're going to win, you're going to hit the target. So this is again going to be related to the word planning and etc. If this is the answer, I haven't checked. I will never check the answers before I start a video clip, okay? I'm just using this in order to make you understand the concept behind it, okay? So even if that part is not the answer to this, don't come and say, yeah, you made a mistake. Of course I make a mistake. This is something obvious. The most important thing is I don't check the answers before any session that we have, so that I want to make you feel the real feeling that a person has while he is going through a test. Of course, I have covered these books, I can say a million times, but I don't remember them, okay? I haven't memorized any of them whatsoever. I was talking about reading questions. So you have to read the question first before going to the text. While you're reading the question, you have to have, and I'm not good at painting, but I'm going to try this. You have to have, assume that this is a package, okay? A package of words. Okay, so these are keywords, okay? K1, K2, K3, and etc. So you have to use them in the background of your mind in order to understand what items to highlight, underline, or do anything to them as you wish in the text. Reza, what words are important to be noted as keywords? Anything that makes, look, I need to answer it more clearly, make it more clear for you. Anything that makes a part of the passage more specific or refer to this question directly. Make it some kind of, you're just coloring a part of the passage and telling yourself that, hey, this might be the answer to that question. So the point is, they are going to make some parts of the passage more specific to you and give you this fact that this part with a higher probability than 50% includes the information you need to answer this question. Okay, so what are the words that make you understand in the passage that that part is related to this question? This is the answer that you have to actually provide in order to understand which words to underline. Don't make it so hard for yourself. You will learn after doing so many mistakes. Don't be afraid of making a mistake. For example, how. Come on, how is not an important word. How much? No, it is not going to be used in your passage. How much is not good. Okay. Did some cyclist. Okay, cyclist. Of course, it is not always going to talk about cyclists. So if I see cyclist in the passage, I have to underline it. Maybe that cyclist is related to the answer of this question. So this is a good keyword. Performance. Yes, not all of the passage is talking about performance. So maybe if I see performance over there, it is talking about the answer of this question. Maybe that includes it. How much in the beginning did not add any kind of information here, right? Whenever you see how much, is it about this answer? No. So cycles, performance. Again, improvement is very good, but there you have 1996 Olympic Games. These are the items that are very, very vividly, obviously, and easily they can be found in the passage. Okay, so you don't need all of that. All of cyclist performance or improve. You don't need them. But the point is, I wanted you to walk through this process with me. Let's do it for the first question, question 12. What is produced to help an athlete plan their performance in an event? Again, performance. Not all of the passage is talking about performance. You might tell me, hey, Reza, the passage is about improving the performance, so in every part of the passage you may find it and I will accept it. Okay, so you can forget about performance. Athlete, plan. Athletes, plan, help, produced, as well as importance, as well as performance. So of course performance is there in all over the passage, but the combination of performance plan, you have to wrap things up here about performance plan, athlete, help them producing something, and etc. So these are the keywords that you have to highlight and underline them whenever you see them in the passage. You will have your own list of connectors, contradicting devices, I can say, keywords, and etc. The most important thing, not keywords, because keywords are defined by the question. I mean, you have to have this list, create this list as I have created for you in the Google Sheet. Make it customized to your own experience. Add keywords, add the things that you think will help you find information easily to the Google Sheet, to your list of words or anything that you have in your brain. Memorize them and etc. So that is not important. The means you do this is not important for me. The fact that you have to complete yourself time after time. If you learn from your mistakes, you're gonna get to band 9. The last item that I have to cover is, Reza, how should we underline words in a passage? Look, underlining words in a passage is very easy, but I have a trick that I will let you know right now. Look, there are some words that are important. Let's make it here. I can say, I want to do it so fast, okay? I can say I have a pen in my session. I don't have access to any highlighter or anything like this, so I have a pen. So when I say highlight, I'm talking about underlining. I have to underline this. I have a black pencil, sorry. I have to underline this. ASC 96. Okay. Australian academics, etc. You do this, you go on, you go on, you go on. Let's read some other questions. Let me see what we have. Okay, here. For example, explanation of employed, AIS, ideas, I don't know, overview of funded support. So just talking about the money and etc. Okay. Exchange of expertise between different sports. Let's read the text. I want to deliver what I mean. Academia, science and stage, AIS employs more than 100 sports scientists and etc. Look, I saw AIS in my question. I am looking for this as well as any of the connectors, thing devices, and names and numbers. Okay, so I have added this to my package. And I said in our document, I mentioned that keywords are the most important items for us. Here, when I saw AIS, there was a difference between AIS and 100. Why? Because AIS is way more than 100, is way more important than 100. 100 is just a simple number that should be underlined. AIS is something that was there in our keywords, so that might be the answer. Of course, I don't believe it is the answer, because AIS is there all around the passage. Then you move on, as AIS is everywhere, you will understand that maybe AIS was a good keyword, but I'm talking about the fact that you have to differentiate between the keywords that were obtained from the groups 1, 2, 3 and the ones that were obtained from the groups of keywords from the question. So this part is telling you, hey, I'm related to some question. It is definitely more important than the number of a random number you found in text. So otherwise you would have what? You would have everything underlined like this. Look at it. So it was harder for you to find the information, to differentiate the information that were related to questions and the information that were related to the general keywords, general important parts. So to wrap up, we have covered lots of things in this session. We have learned about skimming, we have learned about scanning, and we learned which words to underline up to here. There is one final part left. The thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to install an extension called, let's go to Chrome Web Store. To install an extension called Sprint Read. Sprint Reader, the Sprint Reading extension, you can add it to your Chrome without any hassle. So you have it here, it is automatically installed. Okay, thank you. When you have it in your device, you can select any text. You can open a PDF with your Chrome browser and then select the text from the PDF, okay? I don't think anyone has any problem like that. I believe it is clear how to open a PDF using Chrome browser. If you have any problem like this, just let me know. You have to right click on it, Sprint Read selected text. At first, when you're using this extension, it is only showing one word. That is not what we want. So the thing that we want is word per slice should be changed to 2 or 3. I prefer 3. If you're slow at reading right now, you're a beginner, put it to 200, safe. Now Sprint Read the selected text. The word per minute is here set to 200, and again you have 2 over there. So let's play it. Okay. So this is what should happen if you want to read a text. If you want, you can watch it again. If it is too easy for you, make it challenging. Of course, you have to make it challenging for yourself. This is still actually 200. That's not good. We want it to be saved. It is not changed. I don't know why. Just let's close it and open it again. I believe it's changed right now. Now it's played fast. It is being played faster. So you have to make things challenging for your own. If you're reading a book, just make it challenging using the Sprint Read in order to make yourself faster at sprint reading. 350 is enough. 350 words per minute is enough for you if you want to get a band score 9. So you have to make yourself improve the pace actually of reading step by step. If you're good at 250, add 10 actually word per minute, make it 260. If you're good at 260, make it 270, and etc. With 350, I scored I can say a band score 9 with something like 13 minutes extra. So I was just watching it. We were in those 13 minutes, or again checking whatever the question was left. So the point is, you will do the same. You will be able to do the same for your own self if you practice actually this, and make it easier for yourself to read faster. Now, the other thing I want to say, don't push yourself so fast, because if you're moving from even starting from 150, 100 is not bad. The point is you have to start from somewhere. No one is born a fast reader, a sprint reader. Okay, so the other thing I want to say, don't push yourself so hard. For example, if 250 is okay for you, don't move it to 350, because it will give you a dizzying, I can say, feeling. You feel like you want to vomit or something. That is not good for your brain. Okay, so for the sake of your own health, because health matters the most, don't just take that so hard on yourself. Move and proceed, advance logically. Okay, not don't act emotionally. So that is the end of the session. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and get notified for the upcoming videos. See you later.